Welcome back, dear learners. Before the ad break, we introduced prepaid expenses and income received in advance, and we also defined prepaid expenses. With me here, I have an activity that I want us to do together, and it reads: information extracted from the pre-adjustment trial balance on 28 February. Insurance, so of insurance in the trial balance, 52,000. Then the adjustment reads: insurance of 5,600 was paid for March. It is important for us to understand that when a financial period begins, let's say it begins in March of this year, it will end in the following year. This is where it will end, in February of the following year. And then the moment we pay again for that March, because here we have 12 months already, the moment we pay for this March, that means we have paid for 13 months. Once we pay for more months, it means we now have a prepaid expense. So if insurance was paid for March of the following year, we have a prepaid expense to consider. And we should be able to record that in the general journal. So the 5,600 is a prepaid expense. We would therefore debit prepaid expense, and then we say 5,600. And we will now come to insurance, and then we will now say insurance is credited, and then we say 5,600. You have to understand, the moment you have paid an expense in advance, that particular amount belongs to us as a business, so we will consider it an asset. Hence you see prepaid expense is debited. And then insurance is an expense which was initially debited, but the moment we have prepaid, we therefore credit it in a way to decrease the insurance account. You see clearly when we do the general ledger. Once you are completed with the general journal, we should then consider how to do the general ledger. And remember, insurance is an expense account. Therefore, you find this in your nominal account section. Insurance being an expense means it will increase actually on the debit. It will increase on the debit and it will decrease on the credit. Here is a total. This is what we have paid for the 13 months. We've paid 52,000 for the 13 months. This is for the 13 months. However, in our financial statements, we need to show only for 12 months, for one financial period. That then tells us that there's an amount which was prepaid. You remember the 5,600. So I'll come to the credit side, then I say prepaid expense 5,600. Once I have done that, I would then see that if I'm to close off my ledger account, this side I will have profit and loss, which is 46,400. If you add these, they'll give you the same 52,000 again. So once you have your profit and loss, you are then able to come to your prepaid expense. And remember, prepaid expense, we'll consider it to be an asset. So on the debit side, you say insurance, and then you have 5,600. Remember, in your insurance, you had profit and loss, which is 46,400. In your profit and loss account, you now have insurance, that is 46,400, to complete double entry. This is what you do in the general ledger. And once your general ledger is complete, you can then come to your accounting equation. In the accounting equation, it is important to know the type of account that you're dealing with. For example, here we have prepaid expense, and once it is a prepaid expense, so we debit prepaid expense. Once it is a prepaid expense, we consider it to be an asset to the business because we have paid for a service that we have not yet received or goods that we have not yet received. That is for the next financial year. Therefore, we consider it to be an asset. So I'll come here then under my assets, I say plus 5,600. Then the account to be credited is insurance, which is an expense. You then remember that our expenses are debited. But in this case, we are debited it with an amount that includes for the next financial year. So we now need to decrease that amount that was being paid for the next financial year. So we come now to our owner's equity, then we say plus 5,600. Because when we had recorded that amount that included the insurance for the next financial year, we had decreased it on owner's equity. Now, to adjust, we come, then we say plus 5,600, because the 5.6 is a prepaid expense. It will not affect our liabilities. Hence, you see, it is 0. Dear learners, let's go for an ad break, and I'll see you shortly.